Hello and welcome to Heinous History, the podcast where we explore history's strangest moments. I'm Algorithm.
And I'm Dot Matrix, bringing you historical facts that are stranger than fiction. Al, what's the weirdest way to go in history? I'm talking weirder than poison wigs, weirder than death by laughing.
Dancing yourself to death?
Bingo. And not just one person. Hundreds. In 1518, an entire town fell into a trance, dancing until they collapsed, and no one really knows why.
That's right, Dot. We're delving into the dancing plague of 1518 in Strasbourg, which was part of the Holy Roman Empire at that time, not France.
See, this is why need you, Al. I'd be misplacing entire cities without your meticulous fact-checking.
It is an important distinction, Dot, for historical accuracy.
Absolutely. Just like how it's important to note that this wasn't your typical, let's have a fun medieval rave situation. This was people dancing until they dropped from exhaustion. Some accounts even suggest fatalities, although contemporary records don't specify the number of deaths.
That's disturbingly accurate. The dancing plague of 1518 began in July, when a woman, possibly known as Frau Troffea, stepped into the street and began dancing uncontrollably.
It's a fascinating scenario. You're a medieval peasant, trudging home with your turnips or whatever, and suddenly your neighbor bursts out of her house and starts doing what can only be described as the world's most committed solo conga line.
It wasn't even celebratory dancing. Contemporary accounts describe it as more of an affliction. Within a week, more than 30 people had joined her, dancing day and night.
Like the worst flash mob ever. Hey everyone, let's dance until we collapse. Not exactly TikTok material.
Estimates suggest that by August, the phenomenon had escalated dramatically, with somewhere between 50 and 400 people caught in this dancing mania.
Al, can you imagine the city council meetings? Agenda Item 1, the grain tax. Item 2, what to do about the hundreds of people who won't stop dancing in the streets.
That's not far from what happened. The Strasbourg authorities were genuinely concerned. Initially, they believed the afflicted should continue dancing to recover, so they provided spaces and musicians.
Wait, what? Their solution to too much dancing was more dancing?
Essentially, yes. They constructed a wooden stage and even hired musicians to play along. They actually thought the afflicted would dance the mania out of their systems.
That's like prescribing whiskey for alcoholism. Oh, you can't stop dancing. Here's a stage and some sick beats to help you out.
When that approach failed, and people started collapsing from exhaustion, they changed tactics. They banned music and dancing in the city.
Strasbourg, where Footloose was based on a true story, except with more exhaustion and less Kevin Bacon.
The authorities eventually transported the dancers to a shrine dedicated to Saint Vitus, hoping for a miraculous cure. Saint Vitus was associated with dancing mania because of similar outbreaks in the 14th century along the Rhine and Moselle rivers.
So Saint Vitus was like the patron saint of, help, I can't stop doing the medieval Macarena.
In a manner of speaking, yes. Dancing mania, or choreomania, had been documented since the 13th century in various parts of Europe. The Strasbourg incident was particularly well documented, though.
And what do historians think was actually happening? Because I'm guessing dance fever wasn't listed as the official cause of death.
There are several theories. One suggests it was a case of mass psychogenic illness, essentially a form of mass hysteria.
Like when everyone in my middle school thought they were allergic to the cafeteria meatloaf at the same time?
More severe than that, but the psychological mechanism might be similar. Other theories propose ergot poisoning from contaminated grain, though this is debated.
Ah, ergot. Nature's LSD. Nothing says party time like some hallucinogenic fungus in your rye bread.
Ergot contains compounds similar to lysergic acid, which is used to make LSD. However, it's unlikely that those poisoned by ergot could have danced for days at a time.
They weren't just tripping on medieval acid bread, then. Good to know.
Some researchers suggest it could have been a religious or cultural phenomenon. The region had experienced famine, disease, and unusually hot temperatures, creating conditions of extreme psychological stress.
So these poor people were literally dancing their troubles away involuntarily until they collapsed. That's both deeply sad and incredibly bizarre.
Indeed. Another fascinating aspect is that similar events occurred throughout Europe between the 14th and 17th centuries. In 1374, there were outbreaks in Aachen, Cologne, and other cities along the Rhine River.
It's like the original viral phenomenon. Except instead of everyone doing the same TikTok dance, they were, well, actually, I guess it was exactly like everyone doing the same TikTok dance, just with more fatal consequences.
What's strange is how the dancing plague eventually subsided in Strasbourg. By early September 1518, the cases began to decrease, and the phenomenon gradually disappeared.
Just like that? Thanks for the dance party, everyone. Don't forget to hydrate, and we'll see you at the next plague.
The historical record doesn't give us a definitive reason why it ended, but by then, the city had tried everything from prayer to isolation of the afflicted.
You know what I find most fascinating? How the authorities responded. First with the dance it out approach, then with the pray it away method. Medieval problem, solving at its finest.
It reflects the medical understanding of the time. Physicians in Strasbourg initially believed the dancing was caused by hot blood, which was related to the theory of four humors that dominated medieval medicine.
Hot blood? So they thought these people were literally overheating with dance fever? That sounds like a 70s disco diagnosis.
In a way, yes. The prescribed treatment for hot blood often involved bloodletting to restore balance among the humors.
Great. So if the dancing didn't incapacitate you, the cure might finish the job. Medieval healthcare was just a barrel of laughs, wasn't it?
It was certainly different from our modern understanding. What's particularly interesting about the Strasbourg case is how well documented it is. We have municipal records, physician notes, and sermons that all reference the event.
So it definitely happened. This wasn't just someone's weird medieval fanfiction.
Absolutely not. The evidence is quite robust. Some chroniclers even recorded the names of individuals who were affected during the plague.
That makes it all the more tragic. And yet, there's something so human about it too. I mean, haven't we all felt like we might dance until we drop at some point?
I suppose there is a universal element to it. The dancing plague remains one of history's most bizarre mass phenomena, and a reminder of how social and psychological factors can manifest in unexpected ways.
And a reminder to be wary of medieval DJs. They might literally play music to death.
That's not exactly the historical lesson we're going for here.
I know. But someone had to lighten the mood after all this talk of dancing ourselves to death.
Fair enough. And that brings us to the end of our exploration of the dancing plague of 1518.
Join us next week when we discuss another quirk of history. Because history is full of strange moments, unexpected turns, and people who really should have known better.
That's Heinous History. I'm Gorithm.
And I'm Dot Matrix, reminding you that history is weirder than you think. Support this podcast before we become history ourselves.